reasons people don't get rich is because poor people don't understand money. And so I'm going to break down a bunch of different things to you today that's going to help you get locked and loaded before 2025 gets here so you can hit the ground running. Like today's the 30th, I think. Today's the 30th of December. You can hit the ground running today if you'll do these things. So when I say getting rich is easy, what do I mean? I mean in the Jim Rohn sense of easy. What does that mean? Jim Rohn said, somebody asked him, Mr. Rohn, he said, you struggled for the first 25 years of your life and you barely were able to eke out a meager existence. And he tells a story about how the Girl Scout came to his door and was selling cookies. And he said, oh, we bought cookies yesterday, but he lied to a Girl Scout. And he said, how low can you get to lie to a Girl Scout, right? And so he felt so badly about that. But then 5 years later, he was a millionaire. He said, people ask me, how did you go from struggling for 25 years to within 5 years becoming a millionaire? He said, it was easy. He said, let me define easy. It was something I could do. And I submit to you that getting rich is easy because it's something you can do. In fact, there's a slight possibility that you could get rich doing something that you already do right now. You just have to do it in a different way and for a different group of people. So many people think they have to know everything before they do anything. I used to think, well, as soon as I learn how, I'm going to do it. But that's not how it works. You don't get to learn how until you start doing it. And my brother Dwayne's here, so I'm going to put him on blast today. In a good way, because he changed my life. He's my younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me, and he changed my life. Because I found out about this thing in, I think it was 2001, called internet marketing. Or no, I found out about it in 2001, but I decided to do something about it in 2005. Can y'all tell I'm a slow study, right? I got started on YouTube in 2007. I didn't know there was monetization involved until 2021. I found out about internet marketing in 2001, but I didn't build my first website until 2005. And it was Jermaine Griggs that changed. In Jermaine, he has this website called Hear and Play, and back then he was this young 19-year-old kid, 19-year-old black kid from California, and he's teaching people how to play the piano by ear on the internet. I'm like, what does that mean? You're teaching people to play the piano by ear on the internet. What does that mean? But it didn't matter what it meant, because this is what he said. Jermaine, back then, in 2005, he was making $400,000 a year teaching people how to play the piano by ear. I'm like, what does that mean? And so I watched a bunch of his videos. I watched a bunch of Corey Rudel's videos and a bunch of other people's, this is how we make money on the internet stuff. And my brother Dwayne is the only person I knew who knew how to make a website. And we were at his house. We were having a family get-together, as we often do. I'm like, Dwayne, we can make all this money. You know how to, the technology part. I know the marketing part. There's this kid, he's 19 years old. He's making $400,000 a year on the internet. Dude, we're going to get rich. And Dwayne already had some experience in building websites for people, and it had been quite frustrating. Can I get a witness? Right? They always wanted him to change it. They didn't give him enough details. They wanted him to change it without paying him. He was kind of undercharging for his services. And so to him, the idea of making money on the internet was building websites for people who didn't want to pay, who wanted to make changes all the time. And so it was an absolute headache. Did I paint that fairly accurately? Right? And so when I said this to him about us making all this money on the internet, he says, look, man. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Because I'm not used to my little brother talking to me like that. I'm just saying. I was at his house, though, so, I let it go. No. He said, look, man, if you want to learn how to build a website, do what I did. Go get these videos out of the church library, Professor teaches Microsoft front page, and then learn how to build your own website. Now, I'm a little irritated because he's hollering at me, and I'm wanting to help me make this money, but I'm also confused. We have videos in the church library on how to make a website? What? What are you talking about? I literally went and got those videos the next day. It's so easy now. You don't need Microsoft front page. Whew, thank God. Right? You don't need Microsoft front page. So I went and got these videos. I literally took this video home. I'd watch part of it. I'd take some notes. I'd write down terms. Sometimes I'd call Dwayne, what's an index.html? What does that even mean, right? And so you had to create all these files and subfolders and root domains and root directories. And You had to know all of this technical gobbledygook that you don't need. Everything's drag and drop and point and click now. Or just like ask Chat GPT to build your website. Like there was none of that when we started, right? And so I built my first website after 30 days. But the hard part wasn't even building the website. I mean, it was. The hard part was 2 weeks of that 4 weeks, it took me to figure out how do you like make it so people can pay you money on the computer, right? Because anyway, it was so hard back then, but I did it anyway. Figure out how do you like make it so people can pay you money on the computer, right? Because anyway, it was so hard back then, but I did it anyway. And I thought, if I can just make $400 my first month, I know this is gonna be great. If I can make $700, I'll be the king of internet marketing mountain. But I didn't make $400, and I didn't make $700. I made $6,700 my first month. I'm like, what? But I thought it was a fluke. And here's why I thought it was a fluke. Because back then we didn't have webinars. We only had conference calls, right? And so, I didn't even have a conference call. This guy named Jeff invited me to speak on his conference call. So I go on Jeff's conference call, and this was in June of 2005, and I teach some really cool stuff, and I make an offer for $97. $5,700 of the $6,700 came in that 24 hours after that conference call. So guess what I thought? I thought this was a fluke. There's no way in the world there's this much money on this in this computer, and I didn't know about it, right? So I thought, okay, this conference call thing. I know what I'll do. I'll start a conference call. I started a conference call. Jeff was doing a weekly conference call. I came on his conference call. I made $5,700 in 24 hours. I'm like, I'm going to start a conference call. So I started a conference call. And I started doing a conference call every week. The Hour to Empower, every Monday night at 9. But I've got a problem. I'm not a night person. Like, I get sleepy really. I literally, every night, my family makes fun of me because I go upstairs and run my bathwater at 8:30. Right? Because I'm done. I'm done dealing with people. I'm done working. I'm done thinking. I'm just going to relax. Maybe watch some YouTube videos. So I'm doing a conference call one night at 9 p.m. I literally fell asleep in the middle of me talking. Oh, wow, Dwayne. So my brother Dwayne said more than once. That is true. But one time I fell asleep and I just started like babbling this incoherent nonsense. And I'm dreaming about me and my brother Dwayne playing golf. And I woke up and said, "Good shot, Dwayne." Do you remember that? In the middle of a conference call. So at least we didn't have webinars. They couldn't see me fall asleep. But anyway, so I thought it was a fluke. I started a conference call. Then I started making offers on my conference call from time to time. And the next month, I didn't make $6,700. I only made $5,700. The next month, I made $6,100. That wasn't starting in June. By December of that year, I had my first $10,000 month. Now, it was a lot harder in 2005 than it is right now. It was like 100 times or a couple hundred times harder in 2005 than it is right now. Like, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? There are people out there that are waiting for you to show up. And I know some people think, yeah, but you can't just make money teaching people how to do stuff. Really? Tell Harvard that. Tell Yale, Stanford. Tell all of the colleges that make millions of dollars a year to teach people how to get a job. That you can't make money teaching people how to do stuff. I'm just saying. So, it's easy to get rich. So,